If you're thinking about getting into the real estate market, whether buying or selling, you probably have one question on your mind. What does the rest of 2022 look like? Let's talk about it. What is going on? It is Andrew with the Emerald Group, and today we're going to be talking all things about the rest of the year, what the state of the market's looking like, and what the experts are saying. So if you want to figure out all that information, go ahead and stick around. First and foremost, we are a real estate company first, so keep in mind if you are moving anywhere from the Pensacola to Panama City Beach area or anything in between, we can definitely help. And of course, we're getting calls, texts, and emails all the time with people wanting to move to this area. So if that sounds like you, all of our information is on the screen and we'll help however we can. So, if you are thinking about buying or selling in this market, obviously there is a timing issue that we definitely need to discuss. I mean, really, anytime you're talking about buying or selling, timing will always be a big part of that conversation. So, what are the experts actually saying? The first of the big talking points a lot of the experts are discussing right now is the amount of homes that will become on the market. What they are thinking is that it is likely going to slow down, although not come to a screeching halt or cause any crazy havoc or anything like that in the real estate space. So what does this mean for anybody getting into the marketplace? Well, it means that there's going to be less homes to choose from, but still a really good abundant amount of homes to choose from. So when they say that it's going to slow down, we're not expecting it to slow down to the point where everybody's going to have 100 options in every city that they go into, but it does mean that in some of the cities where you only had 2 or 3, maybe even 4 options at any given time, that should now maybe double or even triple. So, as a buyer, this is great news because this does mean that you're going to get more options. This doesn't necessarily mean that you can lowball or anything like that, but you will have a bigger choice of options to choose from within your budget in most cases, so probably use that to your advantage. As a seller, the big thing that you've got to know now is that you might have a little bit more competition. There is a good side to this, and that is if you are moving, you're doing a move up or a move down, it will give you a little bit more options on that side. So one of the biggest hurdles that a lot of people have right now is, well, I don't know where I'm going to move if I sell my house. Well, in this case, as the market continues to slow down a little bit more and you get a little bit more options, that should help out in those situations. And the next big thing that the experts are talking about is inflation and how the housing market is going to be affected by that. One of the biggest ways that the government helps reduce inflation is by increasing the rates. And this increases rates on mortgage, which then in turn causes a little bit of a slowdown, at least for a temporary period. Now we're still slotted to have 2 more hikes that we know of that should be at about 0.5% or more, which are pretty big hikes. These are pretty drastic measures that they're taking in order to help reduce some of the inflation, and the Fed has basically stated that they're going to be doing one in June and July. So if you're watching this in the beginning of June, expect that to happen 2 more times. So what does that mean for you? As a buyer, how does this affect you? Well, my suggestion is make sure that you're working with a great lender and real estate professional to help you with the timing of purchasing your home. There is a high likelihood that it is a better move right now for you to purchase before these rates hike even higher if you are able to afford it. As the rates go higher, your interest rate will go up, and then in turn your mortgage will go up. Now, if you're paying cash, then of course the timing here doesn't really matter. Now, as a seller, how does this affect you? Well, it might behoove you to throw your house on the market before the Fed hikes their rates. Typically what we see whenever the Fed hikes the rates, or the rates jump up in general, is buyer confidence goes down and there's a small lull period as everybody's kind of readjusting. Some people don't understand why the rates went higher, and some just want to back off just to see if it will lower. In this case, it doesn't look like it's going to lower because they've got to do something against inflation, and this is what they do. So, if you are a seller in this marketplace, and you're trying to sell in the next 6 months, it might be more worthwhile to try to sell now before those jump up if you're looking for a quick close. Of course, that might not match with your timing, so obviously keep that in mind. At the end of the day, prices don't seem like they're going to go anywhere, as we'll talk about here in just a second. And this is the big one that a lot of people are discussing right now, and that's home prices. Where are they going to go? A lot of pessimists are stating that they might see a decline, although there's very few and far between that you can find somebody that actually has data to prove that. Most experts are still stating the price appreciation on homes is going to continue to climb, although at at a lower rate. So instead of doing this like it has the last 2 years, we can kind of expect a more slowed stall. And we do have a lot of data on this. Even anywhere from the pessimist to the optimist are all saying at least a 12%, that's the pessimistic side, a 12% rise over the next 5 years, whereas the optimists are saying 45% over the next 5 years. So you kind of take that median somewhere in that 20-25% range. And that's kind of the average of most of the experts. Of course, you can read a lot of the headlines out there that are going to be saying other things, but unfortunately the data is not there. We still have a very high demand issue. We've got a large class of people coming into the first-time home buyer space, the millennials, and therefore the supply and demand issues are still here. As a buyer, what does this mean for you? Well, it means that if you're waiting around to see if prices are going to tank, well, highly unlikely that that's going to happen. Of course, nobody's got a crystal ball. Anything can really happen, but most of the experts state that there's no data to show that that's going to happen. So just note that the prices will continue to go up. But this is a great thing for you, because if you are going to be getting in the buying space, that does show that you've got a strong likelihood of having appreciation after you purchase and not putting yourself in a bind. So that's great news for the home buyer. And for the home seller, this is also great news for you. It means that your price will continue to trend upwards, so that if you don't need to sell right now or in the next couple of months, you can continue to ride this appreciation wave until the time is right. Now, of course, if you're just trying to time the market, well, nobody's going to be able to do that, so I don't suggest that you try that. But if it is getting to the point where you're saying, hey, I can pull out a bunch of money, now I can move up into the next house or what have you, then it might be a good option for you there. So what does that actually look like in the market that we're sitting in here, Pensacola to Panama City and everything in between? Well, in almost every one of our cities, we're seeing that the homes that were priced a little bit too aggressively are now sitting on the market, whereas the ones that were priced appropriately are still going into those bidding wars. They're still going into list priced or higher, escalation clauses and things like that, although I have noticed in about the last month and a half that that has slowed down considerably, and it's not as often. So we are starting to see some of these trends that the experts are talking about across the country. Well, I hope this was helpful to everybody. We do have buyer and seller guides down below in the little remarks section. So if you guys need any of that stuff, go ahead and click on that link and it'll get sent to you. If you have any other questions, go ahead and put it in the comment section down below, or of course, you've got all of my information on the screen if you'd like to reach out. Thanks so much for watching. See ya.